All right, everybody. Yeah. Am I late? I think I might be slightly late. Yeah, 19 minutes. Shit. All right. That's good. Straw Chocolate says, I think a punishment of uploading a YouTube short of himself doing a trending TikTok dance was fair. What? No, that's maybe for like 1,000,000 points. I'm never doing. No. Okay, hold on. Here. All right, so we were at 51. We are now at 70. That's cool. I really cannot be late after this. Really cannot be late after this. All right, we will do a poll this stream, of course, to determine if there's any consequences that I need to do. This stream, if you guys want to cash in your points, for those of you who don't know, the way you guys, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can cash in my late points for, for consequences, etc. Straw Chaco text for the 2 would a Wano video space would have been empty in 2023 and 24. Oh my god. Yeah, it's been a whole nother year. But don't worry, it's still coming. It's still coming. That's still happening. All right. Speaking of 2024, we need to go over our predictions from or our bingo card for 2024. I've honestly not checked yet. Let's get the stream likes up to 50 real quick. I kind of want to take a look. Did we get bingo last time? 2024 bingo. Was it 2024 bingo or was it Egghead? Oh, it was Egghead bingo. Egghead bingo. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we had. Let's take a look. Stock, obviously, a lot of. All right. Okay. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. Oh, my hair was so much shorter. The fuck? This is how short my hair was? Have I done too much? Nah, it's okay. It's okay. I might get a shorter haircut in the next haircut. It's yet to be determined. All right? Okay. So, looking at the Egghead bingo, did we get that correct? Bonnie joins the crew. No. Punk Records destroyed. No. Iron Giant gets fucked. That happened. Smoker. Nope. Kizaru notable. Okay, these happened. Iron Giant got fucked up. Kizaru. Okay. Name of Ipu's weapon revealed. No. Okay. So there's no bingo to be had this direction. Kizaru awakening. No. Major falling out amongst Marines. I don't think so. Emu face reveal, no. Dragon makes a physical move, nope. Okay, holy shit. Okay, more God's Knights revealed. Did that happen by the end of Egghead? No. We could extend it to count 2024, in which case we did get that. Frankie comes in... Oh, no. I think technically more God's Knights were revealed, because it turns out that silhouette in Vegapunk's speech was a God's Knights. I think that we would count that. Frankie comes in clutch to save the day in some way. Not really, unless you want to count his contributions that we already kind of counted. Morj puts a... Oh, shit! Okay. All right, hold on. That's... Just ignore that one. Mihawk fights someone post-Egghead. Nope. Luffy finds out he has the Nika fruit. I think he's... Everybody... The Giants have been telling him he's Nika, or they've pretty much been saying it a lot. He doesn't really get... I don't think he's processing it. Lilith gets on board the ship. Alright, that happened. Zoro versus Venus Jura, that happened. Sanji versus Morj, that actually happened. Crossguild gets a new member before out. Nope. Kuma death, nope. Vivi gets on board the ship, nope. Seraphim released, yeah, that happened. New bounties, technically, yeah. Saturn is permanently defeated, yeah. So this corner, we were pretty good. We got about 5 right here. I don't think we got a bingo anywhere. Yeah, there's no bingo. Definitely no bingo. Alright, well... That's encouraging. Let's turn our sights towards what site did I use here? BingoBaker.com. All right, BingoBaker.com. We are revisiting you. BingoBaker.com. All right, BingoBaker.com. All right, we'll bake a fucking Bingo Baker. Time to bake some bingo cards. What a stupid site name. All right, Untitled Bingo. All right, here we go. One Piece 2025. And I don't know, do we want to do a 5x5 or do we want to get crazy? Like a 7x7. Or even crazier, a 6x6. Or a 3x3. I could get bingo if it was 3x3. All right, let's do 5x5. Let's do 5x5. We're not insane people, right? What would you even call it if it's a 7x7? It would need to be some other word that's not bingo. Oh, they just called it bingo. That's fucking stupid. All right. Let me just check other stuff real quick. Check other stuff. So we covered this. Eagle Train, thanks for the 2, and thanks for your first super ever. Add watch my Mob Psycho episode on stream as punishment, please. Sure, I could do that. I actually technically already did that. We'll revisit the late penalties in 1 second. I watched a clip of Mob Psycho. Attilio, thanks for the 5. Met a girl on Hinge who wanted a closed relationship. A closed relationship? Isn't that just a normal relationship? Wouldn't it be... I don't know what you Zoomers are up to nowadays, but is an open relationship now the norm? Such that you would specify that her wanting a closed relationship is odd? Went on 3 dates, great chemistry, found out she lied and had a boyfriend first. First chem class girl, now this. Alright, so this is an ongoing saga in Attilio's dating woes. Thank you for keeping us entertained. Listen, 3 dates, great chemistry, found out she lied and had a boyfriend. Alright, so... yeah, that's just not good. Because I'm just like, well, maybe she's unhappy in that relationship and therefore... she might eventually leave him for you, but then you would not ever want to be with somebody who would do something like that, just because if she does that to that guy, then she will eventually do that to you, and it just speaks a lot about character, right? So, I'm sorry about that, Attilio. Maybe get off Hinge. Maybe don't do Hinge. Maybe join things in the real world or something like that. Join things in the real world or something, and, I don't know, maybe that's the way. I don't know. Hinge, you never know what you get. Although, you know, you can also, like, Hinge, it's like, you gotta dig through some, it's like a needle in a haystack type thing, right? Although, why would you want a needle? Shouldn't it be something else? Needle in a haystack doesn't really make sense, right? Because you ultimately wouldn't want to find a needle. You wouldn't want to be digging through a haystack trying to find a needle. That's just asking to get hurt. Why isn't it like gold or like candy in a haystack? Or like chocolate? I don't know. Yeah, you know what I'm saying though. Fading Face, thanks for the 5. Shanks and Luffy reunite. Oh yeah, we gotta start. Okay, we'll start filling out the bingo card in a second. Let's figure out the late penalties first. Real Linskov? I can throw in Shanks and Luffy reunite. I think that's a good one. I think that's a very solid one. Okay, Morj puts out Wano analysis. That's gonna be our free space again. Luffy and Shanks reunite. That's a good one. So I'm going to go ahead and make that a corner piece. A corner piece is the most valuable here. Does everything technically... yeah, 1, 2, 3. So it applies 3 ways. Shanks and Luffy reunite. That's a good one. I like that. Oh, whoops. Not screen sharing. Shanks and Luffy reunite. Okay, hold on. Let me get my setup ready. Here. Hold on. Let me move my shit around. There we go. Yeah. I was thinking about getting a haircut, a shorter haircut, but I think my hair is looking good like this. I like this hairstyle. Can we get some feedback on this current hairstyle? I think it's okay. Real Linskov, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 16 months. Morj releases Guana video for bingo card. Yeah, I put that right front and center. Happy New Year's, everyone. Give me something good to ask in the Pirate King podcast, the best podcast in the world. Also, like the stream and become a member. Real Hitskop, thanks for coming through with the shout-outs for everything. I would add that the Pirate King podcast is currently open for submissions. So if you would like to join the Pirate King tier, you can submit questions that I will answer in depth in the monthly Pirate King podcast that comes out. You would also obviously get access to all the previous Pirate King podcasts. The Pirate King podcast is like an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes even longer podcast where I just go through every single person's questions and answer super in depth. And usually I'm more open with things than I would be on stream, and I answer in much greater detail than I would on stream. So One Piece related, not One Piece related, other anime, other manga, movies, TV, video games, real life, NBA, whatever you want. That's where the Pirate King podcast is. And yeah, most Pirate King members really, really like the podcast, and a lot say that it's the best content that I do. Yeah, thanks for the shout out, Real and Scoff. Also, let's get stream likes up to 50. Marco Cadillo, thanks for the 2. Loki unleashes Conquerors Haki. Hashtag Wano analysis win. I've tried to get it out before the One Piece break ends. Because it seems like we got 2 more weeks of no One Piece, if I understand correctly, because there's another weekly Shonen Jump break coming up as well. Loki unleashes Conquerors Haki. I think that's a good one. I'm going to put that here. Loki unleashes Conquerors Haki. That's a strong one. That's a very likely one. Akash Panda, thanks for the 5. Glad to be referenced in the latest Morjcast as someone from the stream, lol, 8-minute mark. Oh, shit. You were the person from the stream that said that? Thanks, Akash. I appreciate it. I can't remember off the top of my head sometimes, so the best credit I could do is say someone from stream. My bingo prediction, Emu will personally move in 2025. So this is chat's bingo card, because I personally don't know if Emu's going to physically move from... Like, what do you mean move? Is he going to fire the weapon again? I could see him doing that. Is he going to get off his ass out of Marishua? I don't know about that, man. This is chat's bingo card, so I'm not responsible if we don't ultimately get it there. I think I'll veto some if they seem particularly unlikely. I can put Emu makes a move. Emu makes a move. Emu makes a move out of Marishua. I just don't think he's... I don't know. That's a good call if you end up being correct on that, but I just don't know about that. Ignorant Weed, thanks for the 2. We get to see Giant Luffy, Pirate King Podcast to speak. Thanks for supporting the Pirate King Podcast, man. I appreciate it. Make sure to get your questions in. Get to see Giant Luffy. I don't think... I'm going to not put Giant Luffy down, though, unfortunately. I think Giant Luffy, it just happens too frequently for it to you know, it's just like... It's like, at this point, it's like saying, oh, we get to see Sanji use Diablo Jambe or something like that. You know, like... Because at this point, Luffy uses... Or Ifrit Jambe, I guess, now. But at this point, Luffy uses... He just uses Gear 5th so frequently... And going giant mode is just his favorite thing to do in Gear 5th also. Like, he even went giant mode against Luffy in a way, like when he made that giant face and was like pretending to eat Luffy or Lucci. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like almost, I think, when was the last time Luffy used Gear 5th and didn't use it to change his size? I guess against Gorosei... maybe against the Gorosei after the Kizaru and Saturn fight. Against Warkiri, he didn't go giant. Warkiri and Jupiter, as far as I remember. I don't think that's a big enough get. Like, we got to keep it, we got to keep it clean. Like, we can't just put... I think we got to set a sort of standard for how out there the guesses have to be. Because it can't just be something like, I don't know, Robin talks to Saul or something. Because that's pretty much guaranteed to happen, you know? Let's get the stream likes up to 50 real quick. Cheesy Skull, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 7 months. Kid has a significant moment of character development. I'm happy to put that down. I'll say Kid character arc begins. I think that's I'm just gonna go across the top. Kid character arc begins. I think I was trying to think too much on like how to game it to make sure that some carry more weight than others or whatever, but it's just not or like are more likely than others. Maybe the corners I'll pay attention to. Monte, thanks to 2. Sabo clashes with one of the God's Knights. That's an interesting guess. Sabo clashes with one of the God's Knights. I feel like the revolutionaries are being set up against Blackbeard. One second. Revolutionaries set up against Blackbeard pirates, but that doesn't mean that we won't get to see them against the God's Knights. Both things can be true. Elsa's Shanks' death. I don't think Shanks is dying in the next 30 chapters. Realistically, Oda's only going to release like 30 to 40 chapters this year. I don't think a Shanks death is happening in the next in that span of time, so I can't do that. Sabo clashes with God's Knights. I'm down to put that. I just don't think it's necessary. I think it could. It's one of those that. It's one of those that's like very binary, in that either the story goes a certain direction, or it doesn't. Does that make sense? Like, you could say that for all, like, okay. Basically, like, the plot of Elbaf, however it develops, at any given point in time, like, there's a million ways you could see this happening, right? Loki unleashes conquers Haki, right? Imu makes a move out of Marijua. Like, at any point in the story, it could kind of cut over to Imu and be like, oh, Imu's mad enough that he's going to make a move now, right? With Sabo versus the God's Knights, I feel like it's more like, okay, either the revolutionaries are going to be occupied with the Blackbeard pirates for the rest of this year, or that's not a real plot thread, and the revolutionaries might be involved against, like, in the Elbaf conflict, right? So it's kind of like, it's just one that feels a little bit too restrictive for me to want to put down, because it's one that can, like, immediately turn out to, not immediately turn out to, it's just one that it's kind of like, the story either goes down two doors, you know? And so if we're saying that Saba's going to fight a God's Knight, it's committing to the idea that the story is going to go down this door, where Blackbeard pirates versus revolutionaries is not really a thing, and instead, stuff comes to Elbaf. I'm going to not put that down. I'm going to go ahead and not put that down. But then Dom says Revs and God's Knights clash. You know what? I'll put a broad one. Fine. I'll put down Revs and God's Knights clash. We can just put it down. Like, why not? Maybe I'm just too set on Revs and Blackbeard pirates, but let's go ahead. Revs versus God's Knights. It's same thing as Sabo versus the God's Knights. Yeah, I'm not putting down Shanks' death. I think it's just a little bit too much right now. Growth Stonks, thanks for the 5. Zoro will forge his supreme Black Blade this arc. He might do it by cutting the uncuttable Atom Tree, a direct parallel to him cutting Giant Jack. Ooh, cutting Giant Jack is a good point. I fucking forgot that, like, people mentioned that, and it was in a similar arc as well, in that, you know, there's a heaven, or like, at the top of Giant Jack was NL and all of that shit. I think there might be an evil god in this arc. We had Sky Clouds. We've got Sky Clouds here. Mythical Island. How about this? I don't believe Zoro's making a Black Blade this arc. I think Zoro cutting the Atom Tree, I'm down to put that down. However, I'm not putting... No. I'm not putting it down. I'm not putting it down, not because I don't believe it, Growth Stonks, but because this is a bingo for One Piece 2025. And while I do strongly believe in the possibility of Zoro cutting down the Elbaf tree, the Atom Tree, I do strongly believe that that's a solid possibility. I do not believe that we would get to that, even if that was guaranteed to happen in this Elbaf arc. Guaranteed. I don't think we would get to that in the next 30 to 40 chapters. 30 to 40 chapters is a very short amount of time. Like, all of Egghead was 80-something chapters. I don't think we would get to Zoro cutting the Atom Tree in the first 40 chapters. So I cannot put it down for 2025 because it's just not going to happen this year, even if I think that that's a very solid possibility. Like, great prediction, I think just too early. Fake Lynn, thanks for the 2. When's top 30 and Straw Duo dynamic tier lists? Top 30, we could do top 30 soon. We could do a top 30 soon. I was thinking that if the next top 30 that we do, we could do an all-time top 30. I think we haven't done a chat votes top 30 in a little bit, so either we're going to do a chat votes top 30. Chat votes top 30 would be fun. Okay. Here, let me do a little poll for you guys. What would you guys rather do next? Would you, not literally next. We could do a Straw Duo stream pretty soon as well, because I have put that down in stream ideas. Here, let me do a poll. Preferred top 30. Chat votes top 30 or all-time living characters top 30. And all-time living characters top 30 that'd be mostly me. I'd be mostly doing that. Oh, what the fuck? Why did it freeze? Shit. Give me a second here. Akash Panda says, why not both? It's repetitive stream topic, so we can do both. Oh, you're saying chat votes all-time top 30? No, because I'd want to do that. You guys can't be trusted to do an all-time top 30. You got to leave it to me. When I do a chat votes top 30, it's just to humor you guys. I don't take it seriously. All right? The real top 30 is the one that I take care of. All right? Maybe one day we can do a chat votes all-time top 30, even though that would be a massive responsibility for the people. But let me take care of the all-time top 30. All right? Here, hold on. Which one soon? All right? Top 30. Okay, hold on. Chat votes top 30. Morj does all-time top 30. All right. CJ Comix says chat's top 30 would be disgusting. I'm just saying, you guys might dislike a lot of my power scaling opinions, but we all know, we all see in chat some of the opinions that come up there, right? It's just, what do y'all trust more? Oh my god, what are they doing? Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear the dogs. They're going kind of crazy. Javon John says we can't be trusted. Not all of you, but some of you. Enough of you that it would swing things in a very bad direction, you know? We'd probably end up with, like, I don't know, Joy Boy number 1, fine, and then Mihawk, like, number 2. I'm pretty sure if we did a chat votes top 30, there is a solid, like, at least 40% chance that Mihawk ends up top 3. Like, if chat votes... I'm not saying alive today. I'm saying if we let chat do an all-time top 30. If we let chat do an all-time... Top 3 today, if you want to say Mihawk's top 3 today, that's like, you know, that's nothing crazy, I don't think. That's like... I think a lot of people have Mihawk at least in the top, like... I think having Mihawk outside the top 10 is insane. Having him top 5 is where a lot of people would have him right now. With a lot of the question marks simply being, okay, how strong are, you know, the God's Knights? How strong is, like... there's unknown variables, like how strong is Dragon supposed to be? Does it kind of have Conqueror's Haki now, right? You know, stuff like that. But I think most people have Mihawk in the top 5. Okay, I'm getting off topic. Main thing being, if we did chat votes a top 30 all time, I feel very, very confident that there is a solid chance that we see fucking Mihawk in the top 3 of all time, or like fucking Ryuma in like number 1 or some shit. I think that those are very solid possibilities, which is why I think we all know that the people of chat, not all of you, but many of you cannot be trusted. And even worse, we might see Sabo above Zoro or some ridiculous shit, or Law above Zoro or some ridiculous shit, and it's just like, we can't be having that. All right, so all-time top 30, yeah, let me handle it, y'all. All right, so Morj does all-time top 30. We'll do that soon. You guys we'll still do chat does top 30, and eventually we'll do chat does all-time top 30, but we space these things out, you know? Eagle Train, thanks for the 5. Luffy mistakes Banks as Shanks and gets tricked by him. Why do you like Steins Gate? I think it's cheesy and doesn't use the concept to its fullest. Have you finished it? Did you finish it? As for being cheesy, I don't consider it to be cheesy. I would agree with... I think doesn't use its concept to the fullest. I would somewhat agree with that, because there was a period of time that I was watching the show and I was expecting things to kind of turn into something a lot crazier. But it was more so using, without too many spoilers, more so using the time travel... especially with the villain organization that they started introducing, etc. It was more so using the time travel plot device to really focus on fleshing out the character writing, right? Like setting up certain character storylines, knocking down certain character storylines. Oh shit. All right. Yeah, certain character storylines, all that. Um, yeah. It was more so character oriented than anything else, right? So I had to accept that the actual time travel sci-fi crazy conflict was not the main focus of it. I did not find it cheesy. I actually really like the main romance between the two characters. I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed how it played out. I also felt like the tragic kind of, you would say, third wheel in that romance. I actually really felt a lot for her story, the direction of that one as well. So cheesy, I guess cheesy is subjective to everybody. I think that like if you want my definition of cheesy, it would be something like the Robin Saul reunion or something, you know, or like stuff that like. I think there's a lot of shonen moments that I think are very cheesy. Like I could start listing some, but maybe that would get people riled up. Steins Gate, I just felt like it felt more. I think the way that the character relationship between the primary characters played out, etc., it was much slower, much more paced out. It felt like there was I was drawn into their dialogue, the nuances of their dynamic, and how that slowly developed quite a bit. And so, yeah, I guess if you say the romance in general is cheesy, then you might feel like that's cheesy. But I just felt very drawn to the dynamic between the two characters and how dramatic it got, as well as with the third wheel in that as well. I don't know. As for Luffy mistaking Shanks as Banks, I think that or Banks as Shanks, I think that could definitely happen. Let's put that down. Luffy mistakes Banks as Shanks. I can't wait until we learn this character's real name. Yeah. Akash Bandit, thanks for the 2. Appreciation for getting to stream topics so quick. Yeah, that doesn't normally happen. Good shit. All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Everybody, let's like the stream because we got to stream topics so fast. Let's get it to 100 likes real quick. We'll also vote on the late penalties in a second, too. Javon Johnson, thanks a lot for the 5. We get another 10-plus chapter stretch away from the straw. It's like 1079 to 1088. I actually think that there's a very solid chance based on what Oda said in the Jump Festa. Oops, I was putting down your name. We get, 10, I'll say 10-ish to give you some leeway. Chapter stretch away from Straw Hats. Yeah, that stretch in Egghead was kind of insane. Kind of unprecedented. L, thanks for the 2. Sanji and Zoro conflict paralleling Little Garden. Sure, I think that could happen. Sanji/Zoro conflict, Little Garden parallel. Conflict meaning like it could be some friendly competition, right? L, thanks to the 5. Ripley's husband has Conqueror's Haki. He has to have it to handle all that. I definitely think that that's very possible. Yeah. Ripley's husband has Conqueror's Haki. I definitely think he has to. I would agree. He has to have it to handle all that. Yeah. Growth Stonks, thanks for the 5. We're going to get a Nolan flashback this year where it will be revealed that Nolan visited Elbaf and met Yorl and Jarl as kids. I could see Nolan, because Nolan is important to Usopp's story in a way, right? Nami was even reading Nolan's book back in Jaya and commenting about how Usopp was similar to Nolan, although he wasn't actually. Then we got Nolan and Usoland in Dressrosa. So with this kind of coming to a close for Usopp's arc in Elbaf, I could definitely see that being the case. All right. Nolan flashback. I definitely think that's possible. Dennison says people got Mihawk over Primebeard and Roger. Yeah. Dick so small, pissed off the walls, thanks for the 5. Elbaf has an equivalent to Mantra and Ryo for Supreme King's Haki. Oh, like a different term? I don't know if that's the case, just because I'm gonna go ahead and not put that, just because the Dorian Brogy at the very least commented on Shanks's Haki, and they called it Haki, from what I recall. So I think they probably use the universal terms. I don't think Elbaf is that shut off, because Skypiea is literally a different world, right? And then Wano has been closed off for so long that they would have their own terminology. Elbaf, people don't. It is relatively separate, but I think there's a lot more. There's at least over the last few hundred years or whatever. There's a lot more interaction in and out between like Hajrudin's out at Dressrosa. Dory and Brogy, they were out pirating and adventuring and shit like that. Some Elbaf giants get recruited to the Marines. Things like that happen. And yeah, Dory and Brogy just recognizing Shanks as Haki is Haki. I think that's... I'm going to go ahead and not put that, but I see where you're coming from, Dick So Small. Phil Leotardo, thanks for the 5. You want bingo card? How's this? 20 years in the can. I wanted to read One Piece. I compromised. I ate grilled cheese off the radiator instead. What the... What the fuck? All right, thanks, Phil Leotardo. Thank you for that prediction. Appreciate it. Akash Bandit, thanks for the 2. End of story characters, Luffy, Kobe in all-time top 30. Ooh, that's a good question. No, we're not going to project end of story. It just gets too... We could maybe do that for fun. Yeah, I mean, everything's for fun, right? No one's forcing us to do this for fun. It's obvious, it's all for fun. It's not like serious business doing an all-time top 30. But, yeah, end of story top 30, that'd be really interesting, actually. Because I wonder... That one's going to piss people off. That will piss people off. Because I think that the thing with, like... If you do a top 30 of characters alive today, or top 30 of characters all time, even if people get upset, it's, like, forgivable in a sense. Because if some people are like, oh, you got Sanji so low, like 29 or something like that, or 28, that's stupid. That's you have him below, like, Lucci, or you have him below, like, King or something. Like, that'll piss people off. But not to the degree of, hypothetically, if we were to do an end of story top 30, and then, like, people are like, wait, you think by end of story, Sanji's not going to be as strong as, like, Kizaru or something. Like, that'll really piss people off. Because at least with current rankings, we all intuitively understand that, okay, well, this is us. This stuff can change, right? Like, it doesn't really matter if Zoro's above Ben Beckman right now or not, because we know end of story he will be. But you will piss people off if it's like, oh, end of story, you don't have Zoro above, like Roger or something. Like, stuff like that will piss people off much more than right now. Because it basically, if you do end of story rankings, you're basically stating like what you view of the character. Like, it's your view of what the character is actually meant to be in the story overall, right? Like, your final vision for, like, what this character is supposed to represent. So, like, if we were to use Zoro as an example, hardcore Zoro fans view Luffy and Zoro to be like this. So their vision for what the character represents is essentially supposed to be like just right neck and neck right there with Luffy. So the idea is that by end of story, you're supposed to probably have Luffy 1 and then Zoro like maybe 2 or 3 or something like that. Or at the very least top 5 with Luffy. Like, that's the idea. Like, that's what a hardcore Zoro fan would probably say. Like, that's the vision for what the character is. That's how Oda's writing Zoro. Zoro's supposed to always be this counterpart figure to Luffy, right? Whereas if you ask somebody who's not like maybe someone who dislikes Zoro or something, they're just like, yeah, Zoro's the strongest stride after Luffy, but it's not by like a huge margin or something, and like it's always Luffy and then everybody else. So at the end of the story, yeah, maybe Zoro's like Yonko level or something, but probably not above like someone like Kaido or anything. Like that's projecting a totally different vision of how important Zoro's supposed to be. Same with something like Sabo, right? I, as you all know, dislike Sabo. I don't dislike Sabo, I just think that he's wildly overrated. I don't dislike him, my feelings toward him as a character are actually fairly neutral, but I think he's very overrated strength-wise. I think people were just like fucking thirsty as fuck to latch on to somebody after their boy Ace died. And they're like, oh, we get budget Ace? Okay, we get Timu Ace? Okay. Kirkland Ace? Yeah, sure. Like, we'll fucking take it. Yeah. We'll like, we have Ace at home. Oh, we'll take Ace at home. You know, that's what Sabo basically is. So people just ate it up when Sabo is introduced. And it's like, he gets fire powers too? All right. Fuck it. This is our new Ace. This is our new boy, right? I don't think Sabo's supposed to be the same as Ace, ultimately. I think that there was a large gap in their potential, and I personally view Sabo's role in the story very differently. So whereas a Sabo fan believes that, like, Sabo's role is likely to be something, like, above Akainu by the end of the story, my view is basically Sabo's might, at best, be Admiral level, like, just about. like not a Kainu's level, but like a lower admiral level or something just about by the end of the story, because we have different perceptions of how important the character is. So basically, it's a long-winded way of saying basically like end of story rankings. What you envision end of story rankings, just the finality of it basically stamps in how important or how significant or how impactful of a role all of these characters are supposed to have in the context of the story, how much overall weight or hype Oda is giving towards these characters in terms of their significance down the line, right? Like something like a Kobe would be very controversial if you put him above a Sanji or something like that, right? So, like that's basically probably the most controversial ranking that we could possibly do, an end of story top 30. So maybe we just don't do that. I think that would actually, maybe I'll let chat do that. That might be a chat thing. Maybe I'll let chat do that. I won't do that. I'm going to put that down though. That's a little idea. All right, continuing on. All right, what am I missing here? Hold on. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100. We're almost there. Let's get the stream likes up to 100. Continuing on. Okay, Black Lightning, thanks for the 5. And I'm very confident you have a swordsman. I'm above the strongest swordsman. And I'm very confident you have a swordsman right now above the strongest swordsman. Not in swordsmanship. I don't have any swords. I don't think anyone beats Mihawk in a sword fight. So I don't really have a what's the controversy with that? I could tell you right now, I don't have anybody beating Mihawk in a sword fight. I think Mihawk is the strongest swordsman. He's stronger than anyone in the category of being a swordsman. I could promise you that. So you are incorrect. Monte, thanks for the 5. More Sky Island lore. For what it's worth, I'm guessing this because Birka shares its name with a Viking trading post, plus of the summit of High West equals World Tree ideas. I don't know exactly what you're getting at there, but I'm down to put it down. More Sky Island lore. I could also see Uruj being in this arc, so I'm down for that. Marco Cadillo, thanks for the 2. Cross Guild makes a move. Hashtag Morj is a perfect holy knight. Cross Guild makes a move. I'm down for that. Dixo Small Epistle on Revolts, thanks for the 5. The owl's fruit is based on a term that means nurturing growth, particularly for plants. In Film Z, Mosa was the power to make plants grow. I remember that dude from Film Z. So when Mosa was first referenced in the chapter spoilers, I was just like, people are talking about Shiki and like other shit being on this island, but fucking Mosa, Shiki's subordinate. Like, was Mosa Shiki's subordinate? No. Mosa was Zephyr's subordinate, right? Which was random as fuck. Yeah, I'm just like, if there's any movie character that's showing up right now, maybe it might be that dude. I don't remember his name. I just considered his name to basically be Mosa. It's just like, oh, that fucking Mosa dude. Maybe he's here. Oh, wait. I see what you're saying. The owl's fruit is based on a term that means nurturing growth, particularly for plants. In Film Z, Mosa was the power to make plants grow. Wait. So do you think that the owl is who Loki's been talking to? That'd be a crazy plot twist. The fucking owl. That's kind of insane. Hold on a second. Everybody, let's stop. That would be a fucking... I mean, it fucking fits, too. Like, hold on. No, I don't know if it fits. Let me see. Okay. Let's read this chapter. Let's go check this out real quick. Let's do some investigating. 1134 is what we just read? Yeah, or 5, but you know what I mean. The chapter with the owl. Okay. So he's saying... he's traumatized by something. I don't think it's the owl. It just doesn't... There's no scenario that seems to match up with that. The owl is talking... I mean, both Shaggy's talking like he just went through some crazy experience, but I don't think that's happened. But that's an interesting point. I don't know if that's even what you were implying, but that's just where my mind went. Eagle Train, thanks for the 5. I only finished the first season. I found the humor cheesy. Romance was good. Oh, but the plot around the dates I didn't like. Wish it was more important. I don't really remember the plot around the I just remember okay. So, Steins Gate, where it gets really good is in its latter half. I agree, if you're talking about the early setup phase, it can be very, very slow and very, it can be very slow. It can be very, I can see parts of it being cheesy and some of their, there's a maid cafe and stuff like that in there. Some corny anime stuff too. But it's one of those where you kind of just have to stick with it because all of that setup then turns into something much more, that's what creates very, very hard-hitting, spiraling character moments and character storylines in the latter half. So once Steins Gate's ball starts rolling, I think then it becomes a phenomenal series. But initially when I first watched it, I was only watching it because a friend kept pushing me to watch it, and it was COVID time, so I had fucking time on my hands. So I think if I were to sit down and if I independently, I see what you're coming from, because if I independently had sat down to watch Steins Gate, I would have dropped it after a few episodes, for sure. I was just being egged to continue watching it because I was told that it was really good, and it definitely paid off. It was really, really good in the end. Really, really good. Let's get the stream list up to 100 real quick. Marcos Vinicius, thanks a lot for the 10. Phil Leotardo is a Sopranos character, Morj. Don't be uncultured. Oh, well, I've seen a lot of The Sopranos. No, I haven't seen a lot of The Sopranos, but I've seen The Sopranos in clips. So I've most of my knowledge of The Sopranos is in clips. Also, watch The Wire if you haven't. It's peak. I don't know if I'm going to watch The Sopranos or The Wire. It's more likely that I continue watching anime. I've only got so much time to be watching shit, So I'm committed to watching more anime now at this point in time. By the way, I started Fate Zero. You guys were right. Fate Unlimited Blade Works was not good. It was just not good. So I was ready to drop the whole thing. I was like, all right, so this wasn't good. But then I was like, okay, out of curiosity, let me at least watch Fate Zero because that's the one that people say is good. And what do you know? I'm 5-6 episodes in, and it's fucking exciting and engaging. It's exciting, it's engaging. The thing I did not like about Unlimited Blade Works, the frustrating thing about Unlimited Blade Works was just that, for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to give a quick premise. If you've never even heard of Fate, it's actually, the premise is cool. The premise is what's exciting, which is that it's like a battle royale setup where people in the modern day can summon ancient heroes from the past to fight for them in this battle royale sort of format, which involves plotting, scheming, and direct combat against other mages of today. Okay? And so you've got cool characters like Gilgamesh or Arthur Pendragon, Lancelot, stuff like that. You've got cool shit like that being brought to the modern day. Hercules, right? And anime versions of them, so they've all got cool powers. Everyone's got their own special ability and stuff like that. Some of them have a few special abilities. Different roles, there's archers, sorcerer, casters or whatever, assassins. It's a cool setup. It's just, I like battle royale type setups. I like setups that involve plotting, scheming. It has really good animation in terms of fights and everything like that. Cool abilities, good sort of mystery and reveals for characters. So the premise is cool. The problem is that the way it played out, its premise, was fucking boring as fuck in the Unlimited Blade Works version that I was watching, because it was just you've got this cool setup. You got 7 different mages with 7 different heroic champions on their side, under their control, and you're trying to find out who they all are and what their motives are and how they're all trying to make their moves and stuff. But instead, we fucking spend 85-90% of our time watching 2 high schoolers with corny, boring as fuck dialogue, just having awkward conversation and stuff like that, and slice of life shit that is remarkably uninteresting for the majority of it. That's basically it. And then we get some spouts of action, but the characters fucking suck, and it's boring as fuck. All right? That's Unlimited Blade Works. So I was like, okay, so Fate just sucks. But then I watched Fate Zero, and only a few episodes in, I'm like, oh wait, this is actually doing the concept the way the concept's supposed to be done, at least as far as I could tell. It's actually addressing the interesting premise of the interesting aspect of the premise, which is all I want to see is 7 different groups, like pairings of characters with different like heroic spirits and stuff like that, all participate in this battle royale with all of them scheming and plotting and like getting into fights and making moves against one another till there's one person standing or one group standing. That's all I want to see. That's all it really needs to be, right? Forget the fucking bullshit. Like, that was so frustrating to see that, because as soon as I started watching Fate Zero, I was like, why the fuck would they do this any other way in the other like they fucking wasted the concept the other time around. It was a fucking terrible. I don't know. I was just like, what? It's so fucking obvious. This is the interesting part of it, so show this interesting part. I don't want to see fucking red-haired teenage boy awkwardly talk to this tsundere girl about like stupid high school shit for like 3 episodes in a row or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm liking Fate Zero. I would recommend Fate Zero. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's just a fun anime. Okay, continuing on. Sorry for the rant, but I think it frustrates me when like series or stories or whatever have really cool, interesting premises, and then they just squander it by showing bullshit that's not well done and not interesting to the reader at all. You know, reader, viewer, whatever it might be. Black Lightning, thanks for the 5. Serious question. If Zoro character climax is going to be him beating Mihawk and becoming the world's strongest swordsman, why do you think it won't be his final fight? Because it can only really go one of 2 ways, right? However Mihawk is defeated, I will say though, there is a route that, like, because I do believe that Zoro versus Mihawk, it is, like, when I see when I make certain claims like Zoro defeating Mihawk, it just doesn't fit anywhere. It's based on, like, it's not because I have an agenda against Mihawk or something like that. It's literally just based on, like, what is the overarching direction of the story. So, if you rewind, like, a year or two, pretty much the unanimous consensus was that, okay, it's looking like Imu, the Gorosei, the world government, final villains of the story, right? Final conflict is going to be against them. Mihawk is never going to be on their side, right? Mihawk's not going to be on their team. Therefore, there's not really room for Zoro versus Mihawk in the world government final battle, right? If there's not really room for Zoro versus Mihawk in the world government final battle, that means that Zoro versus Mihawk has to come before that. Zoro fans are so obsessed with the character that they're like, no, Zoro versus Mihawk will just happen after the world government thing, and it'll be the final battle of the story. It's like, what? The final battle? The final battle of One Piece is Zoro versus Mihawk. Is that genuinely the lens you view the story through? And then they respond, no, it'll happen in like an epilogue. It's like, okay, well then you don't know what an epilogue is, because epilogues are not where gigantic climactic battles happen. There's no such, that's not what an epilogue is. That's just like, that's not a thing in storytelling. Epilogues don't have giant climactic battles. So either you think Zoro versus Mihawk will just be like this quick off-screen thing that just shows like Zoro and Mihawk, like Mihawk acknowledging that Zoro defeated him or something on some faraway island or something like that. Epilogues are post-action. If there's action still going, it's not the epilogue. It's just the continued climax, all right? So either you think that Zoro versus Mihawk is literally the final battle of One Piece, like the climax of the whole story, or you think it'll happen in an epilogue, in which case it's going to be essentially off-screen or very like minor, which I would not enjoy. I don't think anyone would enjoy. Or you think that Zoro versus Mihawk will happen earlier than the final battle. That's the route that I went with. I was like, okay, so it seems like out of these options, the most rational one is Zoro versus Mihawk happening before the world government final battle. Okay. However, since then, I do change my opinions based on like new information that we're getting, right? I used to think that the Blackbeard Pirates would be the final villains. Then I shifted over to the world government begrudgingly because more and more stuff seemed to set up Imu as the final villain, Gorosei, world government, yada yada, celestial dragons. Now I think wiggle room is starting to open up again for the Blackbeard Pirates to be the final villains. If the Blackbeard Pirates are the final villains, I could potentially see not Mihawk fighting on the side of the Blackbeard Pirates, but maybe the final battle ends up being more of a like a pirate versus pirate thing at Laugh Tale, in which case maybe while Luffy's fighting Blackbeard, Zoro's having to deal with Mihawk and Cross Guild or something like that. I don't know. That's like the best case scenario I could see Mihawk being Zoro's final battle. That's the best case scenario I could see Mihawk being Zoro's final battle. I'm open to changing my mind on certain things unless like I feel very, very confident about something. Like let's say the raid fail. Although the raid fail was me basically at a certain point just being like, I pray that Wano is not this bad, and I pray that we're gonna get a midpoint and like an actual actual story to this whole thing, and it's not just wrapping up in the most ridiculous way possible, right? So that was me just praying for the story to actually have good shit, right? This is different. I would love for Zoro versus Mihawk to be the final battle, right? I would love Luffy versus Blackbeard to be the final battle. I'm just seeing with my eyes that it seems more likely than not that Imu and the Gorosei, etc. are the final battle. Therefore, I don't really see how Zoro versus Mihawk plays into that. However, I do think that there is mounting evidence to swing things back in Blackbeard's favor. So I'm rooting for that. I'm rooting for Blackbeard still taking the mantle of final villain. We just gotta wait and see. So if basically the bottom line is if Imu and the world government are the final villains, then Zoro versus Mihawk cannot be Zoro's final fight in the story. If it's going to be more so coming down to pirates, like Strahd versus the Blackbeard pirates, maybe Strahd versus maybe Cross Guild involved as well, then Zoro versus Mihawk could be Zoro's final fight in the story. That's just my take on it. Where are we at? Attilia, thanks for the 5. Dating aside, you will love Mob Psycho Season 2's character writing. It's actually insane how good it is. So is Regions and Mob's dynamic. Also insane. Yeah, I'm interested in watching Mob Psycho. I've been interested since you guys made me watch that clip. I'm on board. I will watch Mob Psycho probably. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100 because we're almost there. Akash Panda, thanks for the 5, man. First, do your all-time top 30 list. Then let chat insert end-of-story characters into that list. Sure, it'll piss people off. That's why we want it. Don't cower. I mean, if chat's doing it, I don't care. I'm not going to go ahead and put a end of story, like what I think end of story is going to be, because like that's just going to piss too many people off, right? Too many people off. They'll be like, where's Law? Why is Law not on the top 30 list? I'll just be like, because he's a fucking bum, right? And then that's going to make people upset, you know? It's also just like all time, it's like end of story, I think Kobe post-epilogue, like if we see stuff in the future, could be like really, really high up. I don't think Kobe by the end of the final war will be that high, but I don't know. Dick so small and piss on my balls, thanks for the 5. The thing about the strongest in swordsmanship angle is we've never seen one with a moveset superior to their swordplay. I mean, again, the simple thing that I default to is the single most impressive attack in One Piece, indisputably, without a doubt, not even remotely close, was Joy Boy's Haki release. Joy Boy's Haki release, his pure Haki release, was factually, like, I guess factually is a strong word for it, but I guess, like, unless you have insane bias, it was very clearly the most impressive display by any character ever in the story. It's fucking Joy Boy's Haki. And the simple proof is go look back at the reactions everyone had to that chapter. Pretty much unanimously, YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, wherever the fuck, it was just like, okay, that was the craziest shit we've ever seen. That was the craziest, most impressive shit we've ever seen. I saw people start to downplay it the next chapter, only the next chapter, once it got compared to Shanks. So anything after that can't be taken as anything other than very disingenuous, because it's like, oh wait, it's being compared to Shanks? No, it wasn't that impressive. So I just don't take those arguments seriously. Reality is, all comments basically were just like, as soon as that came out, it was like, that's the craziest shit we've seen in the story, right? I think anybody with a clear, unbiased view just reads that chapter, is like, holy shit, that's Joy Boy's Haki, just sent fucking 5 Gorosei packing. That's the most impressive thing a character's ever done in the story. Does it require a sword? No. Was it stated right afterwards that this is comparable to what Shanks has done? Or what Shanks can do with Haki? Yes. That pretty much closes the curtain on it, right? We haven't seen Shanks do anything outside of a sword, but we are literally told that that type of Haki release that Joy Boy did, which is the most impressive move any character has done in One Piece, like, without a doubt, unless you're trying to have a bad faith discussion or something, if you're having a good faith discussion, that is without a doubt the most impressive thing any character has done in One Piece. If it is being implied by the author that Shanks can do similar things with his Haki, then that right there closes the discussion, right? That closes the discussion that Shanks can only do things with his sword, because it's just written right out there that no, that's not the case. Look at what Joy Boy did with his Haki, and it sounds like Shanks can do something similar. That's it. Like, it's not... we don't have to see him do something to be able to. You can read what's being implied by the author, right? It opens the door to that. Now, that being said, we might see Shanks fight later down the line, and we're like, okay, even after having seen everything he can do, it's clear that swordsmanship is basically his number one thing, therefore Mihawk's above him, right? That's entirely possible. But the most we've really seen Shanks fight is one-shotting Kid. So it's kind of like, it's a very weak argument to say, well, we've only seen Shanks use a sword. It's like, he only did one fucking attack. That's not what the fuck? And if Shanks can do Haki like that, Roger can probably do Haki like that, which basically means that characters with crazy levels of Haki can do really impressive things with their Haki that don't require physical punches, physical strikes, sword slashes, etc., which opens up a whole new territory that would be outside of Mihawk's title of strongest swordsman, right? All right, continuing on. Marco Cadillo, thanks for the 2. Stab/Banks uses Conqueror's Haki. Nice hair, Morj. Oh, I forgot we're doing the fucking bingo card. All right. Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable thing. I think that's almost too simple to put down, because it's just like Loki using Conqueror's Haki. That's like, I don't know. That just feels a little bit different. I think we need something a bit spicier than that. Because, like, I don't know. It's just like, we already associate Shanks with using Conqueror's Haki quite a bit, so it's kind of expected that his brother will use it. March 14th, thanks for the 5. I think Blackbeard will take over Emu's position as the king of the world, and final battle will be Blackbeard with the world government under him versus Luffy with all remaining pirates. I don't know if it'll be Blackbeard with the world government under him, but I do have some thoughts on... This is a video that I've been wanting to work on or do for a while, which is I do have some thoughts. Like, recently I put some stuff together that I think very, very subtly basically is indicating that Blackbeard really could take the mantle of final villain from Emu, and he's going to be swerving in towards the end, and there's a lot of things that set up him for that role, actually. Wisdom Minari, thanks for the 10. Morj, those are pretty awesome posters behind you. Where could I or anyone else possibly get such fine art? Don't know how you're picking your squares, but Kuzan has a talk with Garp in prison. Oh, shit, I like that. Kuzan, yeah, let me put that down. Kuzan has a talk with Garp in prison. Thank you, Wisdom Minari. Thank you, I appreciate that. That does remind me. We have new posters. And I think that this is the... So, we talked with the artist. He has changed his style. He's changing the style up. The posters are not available in the Morj store just yet. They will be available next week, so they're not available just yet. But I don't know if you guys can get a clear look at it from here. The posters right now are a very different style. So Witheria, Elbath Village in particular, Saboti Archipelago, you got to get a little bit clearer of a view. And I think you guys are going to fucking love Fishman Island when you see it up close. Fishman Island is beautiful. It's the most abstract piece of artwork that he's done. It feels like Skypiea-esque in that it's stepping out of the usual style. So you guys are going to like these. But they're not available in the Morj store just yet. I do appreciate the shout-out, Wisdom Minari. I do appreciate the shout-out and the setup. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 27 months. My prediction is that Fuji, Ryukogyu, and the last 3 Seraphim will attack empty bluffs, forcing Mihawk and Crocodile to get on Buggy's silly ship. That is interesting. I think I'm down to put that down. I feel like we need to see Cross-Guild look impressive rather than running away, but I'm down to put that down. I'm going to put this over here, because it feels like it has to be separate from this row, because this seems conflicting. Admirals/Seraphim attack empty bluffs. I'll put that down. Oh. And Seraphim attack empty bluffs. Dixo Smart Piss on my balls, thanks for the 5. The Haki Shanks is using on his sword is the same Haki he'd be releasing in a burst, though. Isn't one coating? Like, one's coating a sword with it, and then one's just straight releasing? The Haki is technically the same, but the use is different, right? I don't think this is that complicated of a subject, which is basically just, like, it's a very simple topic, right? Very, very simple topic, which is, if Shanks only uses a sword to fight, then Mihawk is factually stronger than him, right? That's number one. If Shanks only uses a sword to fight, then Mihawk's stronger than him. If Shanks has stronger attacks that do not require a sword, that opens the possibility of Shanks and other characters such as Roger, etc., being above Mihawk, right? So I think it's pretty black and white, right? If Shanks only uses a sword, or swords is basically his strongest stuff is sword related, then Mihawk's above him, right? If Shanks has stronger attacks not using a sword, or Roger and characters like them have stronger attacks not using a sword, that opens up the possibility of them being above Mihawk. Joy Boy's attack is the strongest attack in the story. That is not really debatable outside of extreme bias, and I don't think anyone would have debated that prior to the chapter that it was compared to Shanks, right? Joy Boy's Haki, strongest attack possible. It is implied that Shanks can basically do similar types of attacks on a similar scale. Therefore, the door is open right now for Shanks being above Mihawk. It's very ABCD. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you object to any of those things, then, or if you can have a good counter argument to any of those points, then you could say case closed, Mihawk's above him. But at the moment, it's pretty ABCD, right? If all Shanks can do is sword, Mihawk wins. If Shanks can do big Haki stuff without a sword, Shanks could be stronger than Mihawk. Joy Boy's Not thing confirms that you can do crazy big Haki shit, the strongest attacks in the story, in fact, without a sword. Dorian Brogy's statement is Oda implying that Shanks can do similar things to Joy Boy. Therefore, Shanks could be stronger than Mihawk overall. It's only five points. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 points, and then therefore. It adds up to that, basically. It's just basic logic, unless you disagree with one of those points, but I don't see which one of those points you could possibly disagree with. And that's not even me saying hard straight up Shanks is stronger than Mihawk. That's me saying that if you follow all these 4 points, that means factually that Shanks could be above Mihawk. The door is open. So now we need to wait and see Shanks fight an actual opponent, not a character that he can just one-shot like Kid. Javon Johnson, thanks for the 20. We do not know for certain how the final battle will play out. I agree. Therefore, I think it's reductive to shut out the possibility of Zoro versus Mihawk happening after the world government is defeated, because perhaps they fall during the race for One Piece. I 100% agree, Javon Johnson, which is why I think in my discussion, I think I literally talked about how now I'm opening up the possibility, because I think the possibility is presenting itself again that it's actually about pirates at the post-world government. Maybe Blackbeard supplants the world government as the final villain at the end. Therefore, in this scenario, I could see Zoro versus Mihawk happening in a cross-guild scenario. Uwu, thanks for the 2. My 2025 prediction is alien disclosure by U.S. government. All right, I'm not going to put that down, Uwu, but I appreciate the participation, as usual. Javon Johnson, thanks for the 5. Perhaps we were right all along, and One Piece ends how it began as a pirate story. I think Blackbeard would be a much more interesting final villain than Emu. That's all I got to say. And I do see a route to Blackbeard being the final villain. I do see a route for that emerging more and more. Erland Ochoa, thanks a lot. Morj is not thanks a lot, but I'm just saying it's funny. Morj is a damn bingo merchant. Either do a bingo for every year or for every arc, pick a damn lane. I never did bingos before. I'm not a bingo merchant. I never did bingos before Egghead, I'm pretty sure. I think Egghead was the first time. I think I saw other people doing bingo cards. I'm pretty sure Egghead's the first time I did bingo. Because I think I saw other people doing bingo cards. I was like, that seems fun. Let me do that for Egghead. And people were like, Morj, why are you doing this for Egghead? Egghead's about to end. Did we do a bingo for Elbaf? Did we do an Elbaf bingo? That already happened? I don't think we did an Elbaf bingo. How fucking crazy did I forget? Anuj Agrawal, thanks for me. Yonko to remember for 27 months. What's good, Morj? Good to see you, man. How about Seraphim get aged up or King Harold death flashback? Oh, King Harold death flashback. I could see that. King Harold death flashback. I'll also put in Seraphim get aged up. Seraphim get aged up. I thought Bonnie would age up to Seraphim. It just seemed so natural, but it didn't really happen. Dick so small, I piss on them all. Thanks for the 2. Swordsman does not mean only use a sword. Example, Kaku plus 6 powers. Yeah, I agree, but when you're saying strongest swordsman, you're saying who's the strongest with a sword, right? Mihawk can be a stronger swordsman than, say, Whitebeard. If you lined up, a few characters and we're like, is Zoro stronger swordsman than Luffy? Yeah. Like Zoro's a stronger, is Zoro a stronger swordsman than Fujitora? Probably, yeah. I think if you had Zoro, I think Zoro's a stronger swordsman than Fujitora. Zoro's definitely a stronger swordsman than Law, but I think most people would agree that, well, who would actually win between Zoro versus Fujitora, or who would win between, say, Zoro versus Green Bull or Zoro versus Law, would be debatable. I personally don't think Zoro versus Law is debatable, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't know why people get so caught up in the terminology of it when what strongest swordsman means is pretty fucking clear. It's like, who's the fucking strongest with a sword? Like, I think Yasop is probably a better gunman than Ben Beckman. I think Yasop is probably the best gunman that Shanks has, but I imagine Ben Beckman's still stronger overall, right? Like, that's not really I think hardcore Mihawk fans are like they have to do some mental gymnastics or like play dumb as to what strongest swordsman implies in order to put Mihawk in certain conversations. Strongest swordsman is pretty fucking obvious. In a sword duel, do you beat everybody else? Yes. That's how strongest swordsman is decided, right? Strongest swordsman is decided by winning a sword duel, right? Does Mihawk probably beat everyone in the world in a sword duel? Yes. This is not as complicated as it needs to be. It's just like, well, technically, if this character is a swordsman, then that means that like automatically they lose to Mihawk overall or whatever. It's like, no, that's why the fuck would it mean that? That doesn't even make any fucking sense. That's like, again, Yasop's probably the strongest gunman that Shanks has, but that doesn't mean that he's going to beat Ben Beckman in like a fight if Ben Beckman can do like stuff outside of just using a gun. Unless you think Yasop's above Ben, like you get what I'm saying? Like it's pretty fucking clear. It's the same. It's in real life shit too. Like who's the best boxer? It's like, okay, well, fucking Tyson Fury can be the best boxer, but he's not the best. That doesn't mean that he's better than every fucking mixed martial artist who also boxes, who's also a boxer. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty fucking black and white. Strongest swordsman, you beat everyone with a sword. You beat everybody in a sword fight. It's pretty black and white. I don't know why this devolves into such, like, semantics or whatever. I don't understand. All right. Abyssal Leviathan, thanks for the 5. Prediction, Morj does not release the Wano analysis video. Keep it off a line with the center spot. No, it needs to be there. Ryan DeFore, thanks for the 2. Prediction, we learned Blackbeard's family history. That feels early. I feel like that's too early, because I think that would happen in Blackbeard's primary arc. Like, we learned about Big Mom and her primary arc, Kaido and his primary arc, Doflamingo and his primary arc. I think it's too early. I'm not going to put that down. Sorry, I'm sure it's going to happen, and maybe even soon, but I don't think in the next 30, 40 chapters. P. Diddy, weird name to have right now. Thanks for your first super ever, man. If devil fruits represent dreams, and Haki is the will to carry them out, will Luffy versus Blackbeard be a Haki fight as they have the same dream, different will? I don't think Blackbeard has the best Haki. I think that Blackbeard ultimately... I think it'll be a fight where Luffy has to rely on Haki more than his devil fruit, largely because I personally feel like the idea behind Blackbeard is that he has these really powerful dreams, but he goes about them in the slimiest and most undeserving way. Whereas Luffy has to have the will to, like, he will cheat to get to everything, right? Like, he will backstab to get his devil fruits. He will lie, be deceitful, betray, play people, etc., betray people's trust, etc., just to keep collecting what he needs to collect. Like, he needs to collect fruits, he needs to collect a crew, he will just do whatever slimy, grimy thing he needs to do to progress his dream. But I think at the end of the day, Luffy does everything the hard way, right? That's kind of what Luffy's Haki represents. Luffy has the strength to keep pushing through and doing everything the hardest route possible. Luffy, throughout the story, historically picks the hardest route possible to achieving every single goal. So I just think that, like, I don't know. I think that that's what's ultimately going to come down to, which is, like, they've got, like, Blackbeard's got all of these devil fruits, the power of his dreams and everything like that, but I don't think he'll be as strong. I think Luffy, what'll put him over the edge, because Blackbeard will definitely have the devil fruit advantage, is Luffy having the actual Haki that can fight against even 3 really powerful devil fruits, 2 to 3, whatever Blackbeard has at the end. Grizzly Adams, thanks for the 20. We're still relying on Shanks having potential Haki Ball Z abilities. Joybo's Haki Blast did not affect Kizaru, so it likely wouldn't affect Mihawk. Let Oda actually show the Haki Meha before making those claims, in my opinion. But that's just... I feel like this is... Like, at this point, it's just... At this point, it's just like, how do I say this? Yeah, like it's like, to me at this point it's just continually moving goalposts. Like, yes, we do have to see Shanks actually do these abilities to basically say that for sure that he can do the abilities, right? That would be the point where it's confirmed that Shanks can do stuff like that, right? That's not the same as saying, is it possible, right? We still don't know the full extent of Haki. Joy Boy's Haki Knot showed a scale of Haki and a ability of Haki to overpower 5 top tiers that we'd never seen before, right? It's pretty fucking clear at this point that we're not scratching the surface of what you can do at the top tier of Haki. Kaido pretty much tells Luffy that much himself by the end of their fight, right? So to me, it's just being like, it's like, what's the game here? It's just being willfully obtuse. It's just like, no, there's no way that there's anything higher in terms of Haki. We've just seen the limit. It's coding and that's it. When it's just like everything in the story is strongly implying that there's way more to go, and literally just a glimpse of what Joy Boy could do redefined our expectations for Haki in general and pretty much confirmed that, yeah, you can do a lot more with this shit. Like, the scale of how high this stuff can go is way more than we've seen, right? It's just like, what's the like, you want to just close the argument now for, like, you just want to close the argument and be like, no, but we haven't, it's not been shown yet for a fact, therefore, like, we just have to say that, you know what, Mihawk just has to be started. It's like, okay, well, that's just not trying to engage with any sort of actual discussion or, like, legitimately engaging with what the story is at least opening the door to, right? We're weighing basically like, okay, what do we think could be the case here? And you're basically saying that, like, no, I just don't want to have a talk about this until something's actually confirmed. In that case, it's just like, okay, well then we don't have to talk about, like, Emu being strong. We don't have to talk about, like, Dragon being strong because nothing's technically been shown that they do certain things. We're actually just interpreting the story and basically drawing conclusions from what the story is likely implying. And we're like, yeah, like, Dragon likely is very, very strong. He could probably do a lot more than just standing and looking east. But if the Mihawk argument essentially boils down to, we don't want to engage with, you know, what direction things could go, or, like, what it's implied characters could do, because that hurts our argument, and we can only win this argument if we stick to basically shutting off any actual discussion, right? Then it's just like, okay, well, I guess you win the discussion for now, but you know that we're going to be seeing more things that we have not yet discovered as the story goes on. So it's like, it's a very short-term forced victory. It's like, what's the point? I just don't get it. It's like, you know. And as for Joy Boy's Haki Blast did not affect Kizaru. Kizaru wasn't even close up. Kizaru was like it would be fucking embarrassing if it knocked out Kizaru, considering Kizaru and the Vice Admirals were that far away. Like, did you think that it would, like, knock out Kizaru from that distance? I don't really know what the expectation is there. To see how much it would affect Kizaru, we would need to see if he was put in the same position as the Gorosei actually charging the Iron Giant. And keep in mind, that's just a fucking knot. Like, that's not any sort of, like, that's just a knot releasing a general wave of Conqueror's Haki. And that's what it did to 5 characters who are all roughly Kizaru's level, right? Roughly Kizaru's level, roughly in his tier, right? I think it would be very, very disingenuous to say that Kizaru is just like a whole tier above them. Gorosei seem very, very comparable, at least in terms of portrayal, to someone like Kizaru. So if your argument is like, well, it didn't do anything to Kizaru because he was way further back than the Gorosei, it's like, well, that's not a real argument then, right? We know that if Kizaru was in the same spot as the Gorosei, that would be where we can actually draw a conclusion. At the very least, I think most people in good faith would agree that Kizaru is probably roughly around the same strength as the Gorosei, and the Gorosei were completely overwhelmed by that Haki attack, and that it is undeniably the strongest move that we'd seen in the story. Like, that's just not really a debate. Again, just, it's not a debate simply because you can go back and see all of the... I would be curious to anybody who disagrees that it's the strongest attack. I would love to go back and see your same comments after the chapter came out. I wonder if we could even do that. Like, for anybody who comes out and says, like, you know what, Joy Boy's Haki Knot wasn't a big deal. I would love if we could actually go back and maybe, like, open up the comment history and go back to the reaction when the chapter first came out. Because I know the entire time, like, that chapter was out, It was unanimous. Like, literally unanimous. I even dropped a video right afterwards saying that was, like, Joy Boy's Haki was the most impressive movie we've seen in One Piece. Not a single comment of dissent, right? It was literally only after it got compared to Shanks that suddenly you got all these people, like, pretending it's not, like, a big deal. And that's why I view it as pretending and not, like, good faith arguments. It's very disingenuous because that discussion did not exist prior to the comparison to Shanks. So you know it's only because people have a certain agenda. GDN, thanks for the 5. Sanji gets used as a hype tool for someone in Elbaf. Pranks, the woman, Loki, Gaban, whatever. That is an easy bingo spot to fill in. Sanji gets used as a hype tool. Gobbledees Nuts, thanks for the 2. Does Shanks have a devil fruit or whirlpools from his crew? Does Shanks have a devil fruit or whirlpools from his crew? I think that he could have... I don't know if he would have whirlpool abilities, but definitely somebody on his crew, I think, to fit the man marked by flame situation. Dick so small I piss on my balls, thanks for the 5. So far the trend is that all swordsmen with multi-styles still had their strongest moves being their swordplay. Okay, so we'll wait and see if that trend holds true for Shanks. I don't really know what the discussion is. Like, if you want to say that it's a trend, then it's like, okay, so it sounds like it's still a discussion, right? I think basically... my stance is just that looking at the whole story, it seems strongly implied that Shanks is likely to be the second strongest good guy character alive right now, or at least top 2 along with Dragon, right? I think it's likely that Shanks is stronger than Mihawk. I wouldn't bet the house on it. I think it's entirely possible Mihawk is above Shanks, but I think it's somewhat possible, right? The thing that I strongly dislike about Mihawk arguments, and I think I really only swung over more towards the Shanks side after joining the community rather than the Mihawk side, is that it comes from a place of just, like, pretending that the debate is very open and shut, when it's just like, dude, we haven't even seen this dude throw out more than one sword swing. Like, Kid was the first time that he fucking threw an attack. And it's just like, no, well, he needs to be a swordsman, because that's what hypes Mihawk. It's just this, like, it's just this sort of, like, desire to make it very, very black and white, open and shut. And it's just like, isn't it fucking obvious that, like, there's potentially more that could be at play? Like, isn't it fucking obvious that there's likely more to Conqueror's Haki than we've seen already? Like, Otis had Kaido basically tell us this. We just saw the Joy Boy scene. I'm not saying that that means that it's obvious Shanks is greater than Mihawk, but it's obvious that it's still up in the air, to me. Whereas with Mihawk fans, it's just like, no, we have to say it's like, it's kind of like this desperation to just be like, no, Shanks, this swordsman thing, he has to only be a swordsman. We just know because we just know. And that means that Mihawk's above him. So any hype that Shanks gets, that means Mihawk's above him. And it's just like, you know that it's probably not that black and white. I just don't get that's what bothers me about it. It's just like, it's like a refusal to engage with anything. Because if people just said, I think it's more likely that Mihawk might be stronger than Shanks just because, etc., but Mihawk fans will argue that this is just the way it is. It has to be this way. Do we need to see Shanks fight? No. We don't need to see Shanks fight anybody strong. Is there, like, other levels to, like, is there more applications of Haki? No. Even though we keep learning new applications of Haki literally every single arc? No. It's not possible. There's no more applications of Haki. This is it. This is the end of the story. Like, it's just like, what does this even talk? Like, to me, it's essentially like this. It would be like if we met Crocodile in Alabasta, and Luffy has his first fight with Crocodile in Alabasta, and it's just like, after that, people were just like, oh, Mihawk can't beat Crocodile. Mihawk can't, it's impossible. It's like, what? It's like, no, Mihawk can't beat Crocodile because you can't cut him. You can't cut Crocodile. And it's like, okay, well, maybe there's something, like, maybe we still need to learn some more, you know, like, these characters, like, Mihawk's hyped up to be really, really strong. Maybe we need to learn something more. Like, maybe we shouldn't just assume that we know everything there is to know about, like, abilities and power systems and One Piece and stuff. It's like, no. Crocodile's sand, he can't be hurt, he can't be cut. Crocodile's above Mihawk. That's like an extreme example, obviously, but it's just like, no, we had to take some time. We kind of learned, like, okay, how do characters who don't have these, like, how do characters fight these Logia Devil Fruit users? Like, okay, there's other abilities at play. There's stuff like Haki involved, right? Like, that's stuff that we had to wait and actually learn more about the world, right? We slowly went down this iceberg, and slowly we began to learn that, okay, Devil fruits aren't the end all be all. There's a lot more to this world, right? Now we're starting to learn more and more about Haki, and we started learning about armament Haki, we started learning about observation Haki, the levels of that, and now we finally, literally only 2 arcs ago in Wano, like chapter 1000, literally it's only been 100 chapters, we finally got confirmation that Conqueror's Haki actually can be used for attacks. That's when we learned, like 100 chapters ago, right? Chapter 1010. It's only been 100 chapters since we finally started learning how Conqueror's Haki can be used, right? Not even like really advanced uses of it, just how it can be used in battle. And we're just dipping our toes in it. Like Kaido straight up tells us we're just dipping our toes in it. Joy Boy's Haki is released and blows every other feat in One Piece out of the water, defeating 4 top tiers, 5 top tiers at the same time. So it's like, oh shit, we really have some more to see from Conqueror's Haki. And it's just like, for a Mihawk fan, it's just like, no, there's nothing. The book is closed. One Piece ended today, chapter 1135. There's nothing else. That's it. Shanks' only move, it's that sword move he used against Kid. That's it. And therefore Mihawk's stronger. It's like, that's literally how you read the story. That's fucking insane. I don't know. GDN, thanks for the 2. We've seen Haki teleportation, not sword skill, lol. I don't know what that means. Mr. MMF2, thanks for Yonko to your member for 27 months. Yo, more Jussie, let's add Jinbei being useless to the bingo card. Oh, I'm down to add that. Hold on. Jinbei is useless. In a couple minutes, I am going to pull up the penalties again to see. Oh, JWP! Thanks for gifting 10 memberships. I hope you're not offended by the Shanks Mihawk discussion here. Thanks for gifting 10 memberships. Holy shit, man. As usual, coming through clutch for the good people of chat. Callum D, Bitey McGar, Solo AJ, Juin02, Insatiable Hunger, The Crispy Cone, Rohan, Tay Leon. Okay. Thank you so much, man. You must be pretty excited for the new year to come through like that. Really, really appreciate it as usual, man. Seriously. All the people of chat, I do not know how many people at this point have gotten memberships through JWP, so just W's in the chat for JWP. Yeah, man, seriously, thank you. Wisdom Minari, thank you for the 10. They said the same thing about Advanced Conqueror's Haki not being a thing. I think someone made a video on Conqueror's Haki being the key in Wano, not Armaments and Ryo, and now look how Wano turned out. Hey, that's me. I'm that somebody. Thanks, Wisdom Minari. I appreciate it. Yeah, I agree. Like, there was a point in the story that we literally did not know that Conqueror's Haki could be used offensively. Like, literally before Wano, it was just armament, and that's it. That was what you used. That was it. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for the 5. It's funny that Mihawk fans are mad at you, given how big of a fan Zoro you are, and how you've always been generous to Mihawk in power scaling. I think it's just... The thing is that it all comes down to Shanks. They just care about Shanks. I have Mihawk. I have passionately argued that Mihawk is above Kaido. Like, I have argued that Mihawk would turn Kaido into sashimi. I actually don't... Like, I actually have Mihawk above many characters. Like, many characters. Like, I think... I think it's shocking to me that I can have Mihawk really, really high, but for Mihawk fans, all that matters is being above Shanks, and then for the hardcore ones, it's like, not just above Shanks, but above Roger and Prime Whitebeard too. And it's just like, dude, Mihawk was trying to measure the gap between him and fucking old Whitebeard. Where the fuck does this even come from? Like, I don't fucking get it. I don't fucking get it. It's just, there's nothing to be, I don't know. I just think that if in story, and that's true, I've fucking always defend Zoro in these power scaling arguments. I defend Mihawk in pretty much any power scaling argument as long as it's not fucking egregious, right? Against Kaido, against Shanks, it's against whoever. It's literally just in the Shanks Mihawk debate and that's a debate that I still think is open-ended. It's more so like, if you had to ask me to guess, I would guess probably the narrative overall sets up Shanks to be probably a bit above Mihawk overall, right? But if it was just sword to sword, Mihawk would obviously win, right? That's my guess right now. I just get frustrated and go on rants because Mihawk fans are just so averse to actual discussion or engaging with the story outside of basically like, no, If sword, Mihawk. Sword, Mihawk. Mihawk strongest sword. Roger had swords. Oh, Mihawk above Roger. Mihawk above everyone except Ryuma. Mihawk tied with Ryuma. Top 3 in One Piece history. Joy Boy, maybe. Or Joy Boy and Ryuma tied. And then if Joy Boy and Ryuma tied, then Joy Boy, Ryuma, Mihawk tied. That's top 3. That's like literally not far off from... And that's just what's so insane, because it's just like, you don't hear, like, Shanks has gotten so much more, like, significant moments in the story. You never hear fucking splitting the sky with Whitebeard, blocking a Kainu, sending an admiral running off, one-shotting Kid, etc., all of that stuff, right? Sending Kaido running home. You never hear Shanks fans arguing that Shanks is, like, above, like, the second... Unless you're, like, fucking Eric Torlato, you never hear Shanks fans saying, like, oh, Shanks is probably, like, the second strongest in the story after Joy Boy. That's just not a thing. You almost never hear Shanks fans saying he's stronger than Prime Whitebeard or Roger. It's just Mihawk. It's like Mihawk's feats in the story are literally tying with Vista and getting blocked by Jozu. And then they're out here saying stuff like he's like a lot of them genuinely argue like no argument. He's definitely above Shanks, and he's above Prime Roger and above Prime Whitebeard, and he's right up there with like Joy Boy and Ryuma and shit like that. Like that's genuinely like it's just the amount the character has to what like readers argue him as is just so like fucking baffling to me, and you don't see this with any other character. The like what Mihawk is on page compared to what he is in Mihawk hardcore fans in their mind, the gap is so absurdly huge. It's frustrating to me to have the discussion. It's just frustrating. I didn't used to have these like before. I think like it's genuinely turned me away from Mihawk as a character because I just read the things that people say about him and it's so absurd. I don't know. But I'll just say that basically, it's extreme. I don't know. I think it's the extremism of the Mihawk fans that really bothers me and causes me to go on these rants, even though I also have Mihawk in very, very high regard. And I think that wherever Shanks is on a list, I'd probably have Mihawk like arguably tied or like right behind him or something like that, basically. Like it's not, I don't know. But I don't have him like fucking top 2, 3 of all time. That's the problem. I don't know. Grizzly Adams, thanks for the 10. Considering the Gorosei were all fully conscious following the blast, my interpretation is that Joy Boy's Haki simply severed their summoning connection. Still the strongest raw Haki display. Look, we can debate that all day, I think, but strongest raw Haki display. Let's just go with that. We'll leave it off the whatever. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for the 2. Also, please add a bingo entry for Nami. Anything. I don't fucking know what Nami would do, though. I don't think she's got a thing. I can't in good faith think of one. JWP, thanks for the 10. In regards to Shanks versus Mihawk, why have I never heard anybody talk about the idea that Mihawks and Shanks dueled, Mihawk became world's strongest swordsman, and then Shanks moved on from his own ambition and followed Roger's will? Interesting. So Shanks' goal was at one point becoming world's strongest swordsman. He lost that goal and then essentially chased Roger's goal. Or Roger's will that he left behind for him. That would be an interesting story. I think Shanks and Mihawk both have really interesting backstories that will illuminate us quite a bit about like what we should actually understand of their characters. I think that they have very, very different personalities and desires. I don't know if Shanks necessarily dreamed of becoming the world's strongest swordsman, but I think obviously he must have really, really like put a lot into swordsmanship, considering he dueled Mihawk and those duels were related to getting the title. I don't know. I think it's interesting. JWP, thanks for the 20. I.e., he gave the straw to Luffy, the will to pass the future on to your successor, and carried it in the future age yourself, Shanks. So Shanks will eventually surpass Mihawk's Conqueror's Haki once he decided to decide the new age. Oh, so you think Shanks could have actually grown post Mihawk? The thing is that I think that no matter what, even if Shanks grew, he should never be allowed to become stronger as a swordsman, like in a sword fight, than Mihawk. That would invalidate Zoro's dream. Mihawk has to be the strongest in a sword fight. He just has to. Also, let's get the stream likes to 150 real quick. I probably have to call a stream in the next 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, I think. I think 15 would probably be good. Monte, thanks for the 10. Shanks outputs lots of Haki, but it leaks/affects his own crew. Maybe Mihawk outputs less Haki, but with more control. Fits with their personalities. Laid back versus uptight, and swordsmanship as precision. Mihawk did talk about subtlety in the initial fight with Zoro. The thing is that ultimately Oda doesn't really get into the nitty-gritty of shit like that often. I think like that's something that you would probably read in like Jujutsu Kaisen, like, he puts out more cursed energy, but thanks to Gojo's 6 eyes, he uses it more efficiently, and that leads to this sort of very subtle difference. I think that with Haki, Oda's almost never really... It's literally just like, this character has lots of Haki, so they clash with that character with lots of Haki, and then there's big Haki clash. And then sometimes one character's Haki strong enough that they win the clash. I think Oda's almost never into the nitty-gritty, like, minute details of like, but who's using it more efficiently and more subtly, and how does that impact the fight? So that's why I think that that's like an interesting fan theory, but I don't think that would ever be how Oda actually writes it, unless he wants to get more into the nitty-gritty of how, how fights go. Wisdom and Ari, thanks for the 5. 2025 bingo square. Morj will go on a Law's trash rant. I do think Law will show up. How about that? Law will arrive in Elbaf. I do think Law will arrive in Elbaf. I think that's very possible. JWP, thanks for the 10. I love Zoro and Mihawk, but Mihawk greater than Roger gets me actually angry. Even if you put Roger in the swordsman game, Mihawk, his title is World's Strongest Swordsman, not World's Strongest Swordsman of all time. Come on, bruh. Yeah, but I think people rely on the Black Blade thing. So they pretty much got Mihawk, Greenbow, and Ryuma as the strongest characters of all time. Yeah. I mean, Roger never had a Black Blade, so that's... Like, it's not insane to talk about, but it's also just like, you know that Mihawk is never... Like, it's an interesting point to bring up. Like, why does Mihawk have a Black Blade even though Roger didn't? But then it's like, well, that must mean Oda's saying Mihawk's stronger than Roger. It's like, dude, nowhere ever in the story has Oda ever tried to imply that Mihawk is the strongest pirate of all time. There's never been a line about that. Mihawk himself is trying to measure the distance between himself and other characters. I've got some Miss Supers. Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks, Akash Panda. Miss Supers from L. Probably because I was ranting. Hold on. L Mano 21 and Callum D. Hold on. L says, nah, motherfucker's tripping. Joyboy has the best feat by far. I think it's very clear. It's just, you know he does because you can just go back and read the reactions. It was literally what happened is unanimous best feat. Even people who are right now, I guarantee, even people who are right now sitting there saying like, nah, I never said that. I bet if we pulled up your comment history, your fucking post history, your YouTube comment history, Reddit history, Twitter, whatever the fuck, what you said on that day when that chapter came out was probably something along the lines of like, holy shit, that was the craziest shit ever. Probably something along those lines. Want to know why? Because that's what everybody fucking said. Listen, like, when you do like chapter reviews, streams, drop videos, etc., you know what the reactions are to certain events. You know what the reactions are because like that's literally like that's I'm putting out these videos, I'm seeing the reactions, I'm getting what people are saying. It was unanimous. It was just like there was nobody sitting there saying like, well, technically I think he only did this. Everybody was just like, holy shit, that was the craziest Haki we've ever seen. Defeating 5 Gorosei is probably the most impressive thing any character's ever done. And he didn't just defeat the 5 Gorosei, he made Imu shit his pants from Marijua. That was like, everyone was just like, okay, Joy Boy top 1, all time, most impressive thing ever. That was it. I literally remember the reaction shift. When like, after that, it was just like, oh, that was similar to what Shanks does. Everybody fucking, not everybody, but like a good portion of the fan base lost their shit and was just like, oh, well, actually, it wasn't that impressive. Nobody was saying that last chapter. Not a single fucking soul was saying that last chapter. So I know where these claims come from that it wasn't that impressive, so I just don't take them that seriously. Continuing on. Mana21, thanks for the 5. Same people who deny the possibility of Conqueror's Haki beyond coding equals same people who denied Conqueror's coding possibility. They act like that never happened, lol. Yeah, like, for the longest time, it was just understood that Conqueror's Haki is just a thing to knock people out. There were actually jokes about it that was just like, Conqueror's Haki is just big dick energy, but it doesn't actually mean anything. Like, that was a thing in the community. If you go back in time, it was just like, Conqueror's Haki, that doesn't mean anything in terms of, like, how strong you actually are. It was only once Kaido revealed that, no, you can use it for coding, and only the very strongest can, that we kind of had our eyes open, you know? Callum D, thanks for the 2. Anime intro spoils the manga. I never watch anime intros for anything. I didn't watch the intros to Dandadan, to Fate. It's just spoilers. There's no reason to watch them. Oh my god. JWP, did you get 5 more memberships? Holy shit. Holy shit. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. As do the people in chat. Everybody shouts in the chat for JWP. He's really gifting us this new year. Thanks, man. I really, really appreciate that, of course. As do people in chat. Seriously, man. Thank you so much. Thomas Chambers, thanks for the 5. If I decide to make a YouTube channel, I'd follow your recipe. What's the difference in the Sabo/Saul retcon? Looking forward to content this year. I would say don't follow my recipe. I would say if you're making a YouTube channel, try and stick to... my channel ended up becoming fairly split between I do reviews, I do theories, I do discussion videos, and I do analysis. I think the fastest or best path to growth is sticking to one and making that your thing, because then people are going back for the same thing every time. The reason that my channel has turned into the branch that it has of like a lot of different types of content is complicated to explain, and I would have to go into what was happening during COVID and why I had to start approaching the channel differently than I did before. Before, I would only ever do analysis videos and then some theories when I felt like some theories basically. And then I shifted to a lot more. What's the difference in the Sabo/Saul retcon? Looking forward to content this year. The Sabo scene, so 2 things. One, the Sabo scene... Okay, so I mentioned... Okay, let's start with the simplest thing. The Sabo scene is really not milked for emotion. It's really not milked for emotion. Saul, I can point to page after page after page of Saul's tearful final goodbye. He has a tearful final monologue. Saul's scene is just, ship shows up, Saul is like scared, or Sabo's scared for a sorry, Sabo scene, ship shows up, Sabo's scared for a moment, gunfire, and then we see the hat, or whatever, right? Hat, in the first place, is fairly ambiguous, where Saul dies with a fucking smile. Like, we have come to associate dying with, like, going out with a smile as death in One Piece, right? Aokiji saying, no survivors, yada yada. Saul literally says, this is the end for me. He tells that, this is the end for me, Robin, yada yada. Like, Oda's really hammering in the idea of death there, and he's milking emotion. Sabo's scene is not emotional on the surface. It's shocking, but there's very little, it happens very quickly. There's not much emotion, right? There's no final tearful monologue. My main problem with the Sabo scene, or the Saul scene, is that it was milked for emotion. It's fine to have fake-out deaths. Like, I don't complain about Sabo's fake-out death. Just don't try and turn it into a really tragic scene when you're not doing anything tragic. Like, I wouldn't mind Pell's fake-out death if, like, Pell just grabbed the bomb, flew up in the air, blew up, and then we found out later he died, or he survived. The problem with Pell's scene is that we get a whole fucking chapter of cringe where Pell's talking about all this noble sacrifice and this tearful shit, and nothing sad's actually happening. Pell's perfectly fine. Nothing's bad happening to this character, okay? So that's number 1 with Sabo scene. Number 2 is that it is immediately made clear to the reader that Sabo fucking survived. Immediately made clear to the reader. Oda doesn't hide it whatsoever. The next chapter, or like literally that same chapter, I think almost, is Dragon saying we found a fucking person, we're trying to heal him. We found some character, we're trying to heal him. Okay, same chapter, or very next chapter, pretty much. I've said multiple times in my discussion with like Hot Boy Spicy that if at the end of that chapter where Saul supposedly died, we show the ice cracking and Saul like breaking out of the ice, then that's fine. Like that, or not, it's not fine, but it's just, I mean, it's basically fine. It's just like Oda's revealing to us that the character's alive. He's not trying to, he's not trying to leave us with this sort of sense of finality of death. He's making it clear that, like, yeah, this character is surviving this scenario. Like, Oda made very clear with Sabo that this character is surviving the scenario. The only reason that Oda's writing this is to make Luffy and Ace believe that that they're losing Sabo. Whereas with the Saul scene, Oda is trying to milk Saul's apparent demise for like a long extended monologue to milk emotions out of the reader. Sabo's scene actually fits the argument that many readers had, which is that no, the scene is only sad because Luffy and Ace think that Sabo is dead. Whereas that does not apply to the Saul Robin scene. Like, Oda is using Saul's death to add dramatic tragedy to the heaviness of the scene, and you know that for a fact because Oda does not reveal to us at the end that Saul did in fact survive, right? If it was just for the effect on Robin, then Oda could have Robin leave the island thinking that Saul died, while revealing to the reader that Saul did in fact survive. The same way that he did with Sabo, right? With Sabo, he pretty much reveals to the reader, Sabo's still fine, it's just Luffy and Ace need to think he's dead, right? That's the big distinction there. That's the second big distinction. So two very different scenes. Sabo's actually an example of Oda doing it right if you're going to bring back a character. The stupid thing with Sabo is just the amnesia. But that was Oda having a clumsy way to bring the character back into the fold, or having an excuse for why the character didn't meet Luffy and Ace during that whole period of time. But in terms of fake-out deaths, it's perfectly fair. Saul is where Oda tried to have his cake and eat it too, which is like, I'm gonna make it really sad, gonna make the reader like feel all the emotions that are happening in this dramatic death scene, and then I'm just gonna play pretend like I actually did something for the next 800 chapters, and then I'm just gonna cheat and bring the character back for a happy reunion that's like very corny and basic. To be fair, I'm being salty there. The reunion itself was good, but well written, but the premise of it lacks integrity. Gobble These Nuts, thanks for the 2. Any New Year's resolutions, Morj? Yes, but I'm not going to share them here, unfortunately. Let's say one simple one, which is getting the Wano analysis out. Grizzly Adams, thanks for the 10. To be honest, my cynical fear is that Oda will continue to make Shanks even more impressive than Mihawk, and Mihawk will never concretely differentiating their fighting styles, ultimately tainting Zoro's story. I don't think that'll happen. If Shanks never does anything outside of swordsmanship, then we can conclude at the end that, you know what, Mihawk was just stronger than Shanks, and then I think that's still fine. I do hope that Mihawk gets some good hype scenes soon. JWP, thanks for the 5. Morj, have you put any of your own bets into the bingo? You know what, for the sake of closing out the stream, because I do have to do that now, let me put in my own things. Justin Holland, thanks for the 2. More Haki and Joy Boy lore. I can put down, we learn new Haki techniques. How about that? Because that's something we're discussing. New Joy Boy lore. JWP, thanks for the 5. If I had to make a bingo, I would say Luffy and Loki have a clash, preferably Sky Split. But if that is the same as the other one, no Sky Split. I'll say Luffy and Loki have a clash. That's cool. Luffy and Loki have a clash. I'll say it's revealed God's Night. Loki didn't kill his dad. And then the final one I'll say is Final War. Nah, that seems like too much. Usopp has issues with Yasop. That's a personal hope, but I think that could be cool. All right. Final thing to close the stream. Here are the late penalties as they stand now. Do you all want to... Oh, Miss JMT93 Super. Shoot, I'm sorry, man. Okay, hold on. Trying to wrap up just because I got to take dogs. Let me see. JMT93. JMT93, thank you for the 5. Sorry I missed this. Prediction. We get the answer to why Kuma went to Amazon Lily. Oh, I can replace one of mine with that. We get the answers to... No, I don't think we'll get that, though. I don't think that's going to be a thing. I don't think that'll ever be elaborated on. JWP, thank you for 5 more memberships to close the stream. Fuck, you must be hyped for 2025, man. I appreciate it, as usual. Seriously, man. As usual, the good people of Stream are always happy to have you swoop through and gift some memberships. So many of you have gotten memberships thanks to this, man. Just everyone, as usual, shouts to JWP. One day he may swing through and gift you a membership, in which case you'll be able to do emotes, get access to the podcast, all of that stuff. Yeah, let's vote on the... Please read chat. I got JMT93. I got it. Yeah, I got to take dogs out. Missed my bath panel super. Oh, fuck. God damn it. I think I actually saw that one. I forgot to read it. L, thanks for the 2. Oh, no, I got a couple to read. I'm sorry. I got a couple. LBAF Women Bath Panel, we know Otis is L. I think that's actually... I'll replace one of mine with that. LBAF Women Bath Panel. I think that's actually very, very likely. And Marcos Vinicius, Nami hits Luffy as a gag, and Twitter has a post about Luffy not being a real Yonko. There's your Nami slot. I know what you're talking about. I'm not going to put it again. I think it's... If people want to complain about the gag as like kind of an outdated 1990s type gag that is still going on in the 2020s, that's one thing. But saying it doesn't make Luffy a real Yonko, that's just silly. I think that's just silly. All right. I think I got everybody now. All right. Here's the late penalties. Do we want... You have 70 right now. So you could make me spend on one of these, and it's spending points. So if you spend like on this one, read one chapter for series chosen by chat on stream, then then I have to do that, obviously. Okay, I think for time's sake, I can't do it. I needed to do this in the middle of the stream. I think for time's sake, because I can't read a chapter right now. We can vote for next stream if you guys want to do that. We can vote for next stream after do that. You want to do that? Vote for next stream? I think in general I should do it in the middle of the stream because people are going to be more excited to see it happen during that stream itself. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's just do this for the moment. Next time, just give me a reminder or bother me over the course of the stream and be like, hey, don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do the voting. Do you want to spend points on a punishment for next stream? Yes, no. So you can spend the points now or save it up. All right, you greedy fuckers. Just spend the points. Just make me eat a habanero or read a chapter of something. What the fuck? All right. Okay, we're going to close stream there. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We got a solid bingo card for 2025. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a really, really good year for One Piece. Last year was a transition year. This year, shit's going to pop off. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I will talk to you all later. And thanks for the support, and especially from you, JWP. I appreciate it.